Hi, I'm Sheilaa Hite, world-class astrologer, tarot master, spellcaster, medium, and all-around magical being. And I'm here today to talk to you about astrology. Normally I say, this week's astrology, but this is more far-reaching than this week. This is very important. What's happening starting this week is going to be very impactful and important to us for the next several months until about December 7th. So, two very big, very influential planets will be going retrograde in the next week and the week after. And those planets are Saturn. Saturn rules structure, discipline, practicality, and is goal-oriented. Neptune, the second planet, is ephemeral, dreamy, sometimes spacey, and often deceptive and idealistic. Neptune is also the planet that connects us with spirit, that tells us, that shows us that we are more than we appear to be. So Neptune is a great planet, and so is Saturn. How we use those energies makes all the difference in our lives. Neptune is going retrograde, just as Saturn will be going retrograde. When a planet goes retrograde, we are in the class called time to review it. Saturn and Neptune are telling us it's an intense time of review for those parts of our lives, those aspects of our being that Saturn and Neptune go over or go through in our lives and in our astrology charts. So, when Saturn is retrograde, Saturn is expecting you to be your best and strongest ally in the pursuit of and practice of self-truth. Saturn demands that we acknowledge those little and big things and those little and big aspects of ourselves and our lives that we have unfortunately spent a lot of time and energy trying to ignore. All of us do it. All of us have done it. Saturn is that great disciplinarian who stands at the front of the class and says, I want to not only see the results of your work, I want to see the steps. I want to see your work. So Saturn calls into question those habits and belief systems that no longer work. They haven't worked for quite a while, but now Saturn is saying, time to go through the books and to clean it out. Saturn will insist that we look at and deal with what we don't want to look at and deal with. Its influence is great, and what it wants to do is challenge our carefully crafted but outdated survival mechanisms. These impulses come in the form of self-negation and self-destruction. And that can be in little ways and big ways. During this time, we will need to consciously eliminate those things that don't help us or support us. And we need to make new, healthy, concrete choices. Sometimes this necessary course correction will leave us feeling depressed or fearful or overwhelmed because it's a new way of being. It's a conscious way of being. And one thing human beings hate to do is let go of the old. Even if the old is injurious, even if the old doesn't help us, even if the old costs us way more than it's worth. Well, Saturn has come along and said it's time to let those things go. If those feelings of depression or fear or overwhelm come up, you need to breathe, check your breathing, breathe through them, because they are connected to illusion. And it's an illusion that's not here to support you. So, allow yourself to accept responsibility for yourself. Saturn retrograde will ask the question and want the answer to where and how are you not taking care of yourself. It's going to call for and provide practical actions that will produce tangible, healthy results. The other planet, Neptune, in a way, operates in a similar fashion to Saturn. I know that Saturn is solid and Neptune is ephemeral. However, they both want the same thing. They require that you take a look at, from a centered, grounded perspective, yourself, your life, your old habits, and time to clean out what? Not only the closets and the bookcases and the old drawers and the old everything that you don't need in the material world, but also in the emotional, the spiritual, in the physical worlds. So Saturn and Neptune want the same thing. Neptune uses different tools, though. Neptune wants us to be more ephemeral, to go within. So it uses our intuition, our natural ability to feel and sense. And it also uses and needs us to strengthen our willingness to surrender to that needs to be faced and healed. We must consciously become aware of our inner subconscious workings so that we can consciously add them to our quality of life tools. You know, what happens when we're not conscious? The inner program is running. And that inner program is probably 3 to 5 years old. And by that I mean it was created when you were 3 to 5 years old. So in a very big way, a 3 to 5-year-old is running some of the most important aspects of your life. And it's time for that to end. So we must develop and self-administer compassion, understanding, and emotional courage. And we must become aware of the unhealthy habits of self-denial and capitulating to old, unhealthy impulses. We also need to be very careful during this time because we're used to it and there's comfort in what we're used to. Even if there's pain involved, there's comfort in it because we're used to it. We definitely need to make sure that we don't take on the familiar role of rescuer or victim, because that will only result in the stumbling blocks and downfalls that we are here to move beyond. Neptune insists that we use discernment, cool, conscious thinking. Neptune insists that we use discernment, and it insists that we don't try to escape reality by creating a fantasy reason to indulge in our habitual, self-destructive, self-negating behaviors. This does not sound like a lot of fun. However, if you resist, that's where it's not a lot of fun. It's actually such a relief to let go of thinking that you have to sacrifice yourself and what is good for you and right for you to the world, to others, to other situations. The tips for successfully navigating this course: we need to be self-aware and self-observant of where and when the self-negating and self-destructive impulses try to dominate. When those old habits rear their ugly heads and try to convince you to do the thing that you know you shouldn't do, but you've always done, pay attention to that and don't do the thing. You also have to be willing to immediately take your power back from the situation, that old situation, when it rears its ugly head. I recommend ankle weights, ankle weights, ankle weights, ankle weights. They don't have to be 5 or 10 pound ankle weights, just enough so that you're conscious of being grounded and of every step you take. And wear them around the house. And for those of you who are fashion conscious, if people say something when you're wearing them outside the house, tell them a story. Tell them the ankle weights help your calves get stronger. You'll find that other people start wearing them too because they believe you. Ankle weights are important, and most importantly, I have a saying. I cannot use it here because Facebook would really have something to say about it. So I've substituted the S word for another S word, and I've substituted that word for the word stuff. Whatever happens, your stuff is going to want to dictate to you, or your stuff is going to want to vote. Whatever happens, do not give your stuff a vote. You will not come out the winner. Remember, I don't know if you had parents who, as they drove, and you and your siblings and cousins were in the back seat nitpicking at each other, arguing with each other, and if you ever heard, "Don't make me have to come back there." Well, Saturn is that parent. So Saturn is telling you, please just do what you have to do. Don't make me pull the car over and have to come back there. Saturn is not here to punish you or to make your life difficult. Saturn is here to help you become healthier and stronger and clearer in your determination to have a great, lovely, loving life. So, and above all, in a world where you can be anything, please be kind.